everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Today I'm going to be referencing my How to Draw Faces ebook. If you're interested in this book, I'll leave a link in the comments section. And I'm just going to practice drawing faces like these in my sketchbook and just practicing what I put in place in this book. This is a step-by-step book on how to draw faces. I have lots of examples and faces that you can fill in as you practice. This is just the original copy of the book. I explain how to draw eyes, nose, mouth, and there's lots of different drawings that you can finish. So it's kind of like an opportunity to practice your drawing and also have partially filled in faces that you can finish off. You can also use this to color because there's a couple of sketches in there at the end. And so yeah, I'm just gonna be practicing based on this book that I have available for people if they want to download and purchase. It supports my channel, so let's get started. I am using a regular Sharpie marker and to draw the faces, and I'm using Artist Loft alcohol markers, Ohuhu alcohol markers, and Artex alcohol markers. So that's what I'm using to draw today. And the sketchbook I'm using is a Hilroy Studio Pro sketchbook. Any sketchbook will do. I'm not sure. I get these at Staples, but you can also get them on Amazon. It's just a regular sketchbook with regular sketchbook paper, but I like how the markers work on it. I'm just going to draw some general faces, and it's just I like to draw half a circles or a U shape even, simply because I want to put the hair in, so I don't always finish it. And I always draw like kind of long necks that go at an angle. I think it's like more whimsical. And this is sort of how I start out with my faces. The next thing I do is just half a circle for the eyes. You can even draw a line, and I just draw dots for the eyes. Little line for the nose, and you can draw a line for the mouth. You keep going even if you think it looks bad, because you can really bring everything to life once you start coloring it. And that's where everything sort of comes together. I like to practice different eye shapes, like those high eyes and high eyebrows, and 2 dots for the nose, and just a little line for the lips. And ears can be however, because sometimes you'll even just draw over it. What should I try here? Well, I think I'm gonna do like and you'll see, like, even though this looks kind of strange, you'll see how it all comes together and how I just keep going regardless of what it looks like as I'm drawing it. And you can use a whole bunch of different tools other than markers. Once you color it in, if you don't like it, you can add on top of it paint. I like using sketchbook paper simply because if I make a mistake, it doesn't matter. This one's going to have a flower in her hair. And maybe she'll have, I like to draw glasses. If you've watched any of my videos, I always draw some glasses. These ones might be, they look kind of funny, but again, once you color it in, it's going to look good. Draw some pouty lips. I'm going to make her glasses come, there we go, her ears. And you just have to practice mapping in where all the features go. And I have a few ebooks that you can download that can help you with that. What else do I want to do? Let's see. Sometimes you can just draw a circle. For the nose. I like to draw just a line because then I put like red in for the lips. And so today is just a fun practice session on faces. Haven't done it in a while. Not with the markers and the colored pencils. I mean the markers and my alcohol markers. I haven't done that in a long time. You can also draw nice dangly earrings on the ladies. I kind of like them to overlap. Her ears are kind of funny. I like them to overlap because I just think it creates a fun look. Now, one of the things I've done with my markers, and I'm just going to lift this up and show you, is I create my palette. I just sort of find different skin tones that I like and map it out before I draw. So I'm not, because I have so many markers, I don't want to spend all my time trying to find the perfect color. So that's kind of what I do before I start coloring, is I create my own little color palette and pick the markers that I want to use before I start coloring. Because sometimes those markers, it might show on the cap what it looks like, and it doesn't actually look like that. And I don't color like the whole face. I like to leave a little white. And I like to add different colors. So this is why you're going to see this. This one I'm not going to color all in right at this moment. I do want to get her nose kind of mapped in there. I never worry about making a mess because I really like to use different materials, different art supplies. I like this lady's face quite a bit. One side of the face is always darker than the other. Now this Sharpie is bleeding a bit, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is. I'm going to do her other side like a more pink color. Sketching is just all about playing. I'm really disappointed in my Sharpie marker, but it makes sense. It's going to reactivate when it comes into contact with the alcohol marker. Now I'm just adding cheek color and I'm going from face to face. Sometimes I grab the same color pink because it looks different on each one based on the color of the marker, that I laid down first. So you can see me doing that. And then the thing about alcohol markers is you can add so many layers on top, especially if you have a good sketching or marker paper. Now this face, I'm adding another layer of skin tone on it and just sort of playing around with it. And yeah, I'm just playing around with each face, seeing what I can do. Putting the lip color in, and you'll see I usually add the same lip color to each lady, and then later on I'll play around with that color as well by adding more on top of it. One of the other things I really enjoy doing is adding flowers to the lady's hair. So sometimes I'll feel like it's kind of boring if I just have a bunch of faces and I don't have any sort of accessories on them. So usually you'll see me adding earrings, flowers, glasses, and I'm just playing around with that. I just like the pop of color too. If you notice, I'll make the cheeks, lips, and flowers almost the same color because it'll bring the whole thing together. Faces will often have shadows. Usually the shadows are under the eyes, under the nose, under the lip, and under the chin. You'll also see the hair that's closer to the face, a darker color than the hair that's like on top or on the outside. So all I'm doing is just getting a darker skin tone and sort of going around certain areas that I think there will be shadows. And then I'm also coloring the hair. So usually I'll do the hair in just one shade, but then add a darker shade closer to the head. In addition to the areas that I said were the shadows, you can see me drawing it here. A lot of times you can have fun by making one side of the face darker than the other. So like make the left side a darker shade than the right side. If you're playing around with all that, you'd be amazed at the kind of art that you can create just by adding shadows and shading. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. It can just be one side of the face being darker than the other. I spend a lot more time on faces than I do on the hair. I like old hairstyles, sort of like little bobs and short hair and hair in buns. So you'll see that I do a lot of that on the faces that I draw along with the flowers in the hair. To add lines in the hair, I'll use a darker marker, but the other thing you can do is you can get some gel pens and play around with the gel pens to create sort of distinct lines in the hair if you don't want to add darker color. So you'll see I add some white gel pen to the hair at the end. With this lady in particular, I'm having fun adding like a light blue shadow around her eyes, adding the same light blue in her hair, and just trying to create some depth to this face. I also like that I played with her eyelashes, and that's one of the things I show in the downloadable ebook that I have, how to create sort of different character to the faces. I really love this one. I think it might be my favorite. One of the things I decided to do as I went through this drawing, and one of the things that you'll see if you follow my channel, I like to use a lot of different art supplies, and I got out my acrylic markers by Artex and just started playing with those on top of the faces. And at the very end, I added a little bit of oil pastel as well, just to sort of bring it together. I personally love really vibrant colors, and I find acrylic markers and oil pastels have really bright and cheery colors, and that's sort of where I'm going with this. I start adding clothing to them. I start just sort of adding brighter color to the lips, to the hair, and to the flowers. One of the other things I wanted to mention is you shouldn't be afraid to explore with your art supplies, with your drawings and coloring, and being afraid to make mistakes is what's going to hold you back from improving in your art, or basically discovering the kind of art that you like and the kind of artist that you are. If you're afraid of making mistakes, then you're not going to explore and play. And the whole purpose of your sketchbook is to explore and play. And I know my faces aren't perfect, but I personally don't like perfect art. I like the messy, sketchy, layered type art, and that is what I'm creating here. And so I encourage everyone to just play around with your art supplies to see what you can create. Now, I probably could have stopped right here. I have my paint sticks out. They're Tempera paint sticks. And I could have stopped here, but I kept going and added oil pastels. So either way, I really love how this turned out. These are the final faces. I added a little bit of oil pastel on top and blended it in, added a little pattern. I'd love to hear from how it went for you. Just leave me a comment and let me know. I hope you all have a wonderful day and happy sketching.